Hi, my name is Johannes and you're listening to Strictly Between Us, radiotimes.com's Strictly Come Dancing podcast.
Hello and welcome to Strictly Between Us, the Strictly Come Dancing podcast powered by radiotimes.com. I'm your rather sickly host, Kimberley Bond, and as always I am joined by radiotimes.com's news editor, Emma Powell. How are you doing today, Emma? I hope it's better than me.
I'm good. No, not feeling so sickly.
It was Strictly Come Dancing's Halloween Spooktacular this Saturday, but it wasn't the dancing that was particularly scary, it was the injuries. Will Bailey has bowed out the show for the time being, and Neil Jones was also unable to dance, with Kevin Clifton having to step in at the last minute. But it was Catherine Tilsley's departure that was the real shock horror of the evening, with fans up in arms about Auntie Kath and Johannes having to leave the show. One particularly passionate radiotimes.com reader called it a travesty on our Facebook post, which I was like, all right. Emma, did the right person go?
You know what? It's controversial, but I think the right person did.
Really?
Right. People are seeing Mike as the joke act. And yes, he's been in the bottom two for the last 2 weeks, but actually he wasn't terrible. No. Catherine wasn't amazing. It wasn't as if we'd lost Kelvin. That would be a travesty.
That would be a
massive travesty. I would be personally so upset about that.
What would we talk about on this podcast when Kelvin go?
We would just have to stop the podcast.
We'd have to quit.
We joke. No, but I mean, if you actually look at the critique that Mike got as well, I mean, Bruno said he was pleasantly surprised by Mike. And even Craig, obviously he had his, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. But he said he loved the concept. And, you know, he has improved. Whether you like it or not, he's not terrible. He is giving it his all. Catherine, if you looked at her dance, she made a mistake. She didn't really recover from that. She looked a bit stiff and she just didn't look like she'd thrown everything into it and was having a good time. And I think when you're watching as a viewer, Mike's actually more entertaining and he is improving and he is going on that journey, as we say. I can see why people are annoyed.
Yeah.
But I honestly don't think it's that big a deal that Catherine went before Mike.
I just have to disagree with you. And I know I'm a huge fan of Mike. I said before on this podcast he has big hen-do energy because he's just so much fun.
Hen-do energy, that's the best way to describe Mike.
Because, you know, when he did that Magic Mike thing, when he stripped off, I want that for my wedding. But anyway, it was just that I feel like with Catherine, I feel like she can have a journey, and that's the thing I have issue with, because I think she did have some weeks where she was amazing. There was one week I think when she did, was it a rumba, or she did a
oh, was it a waltz?
That was
did?
It. Yeah, she did quite
Viennese waltz. I think
a lovely like slow dance with Johannes, and it was really beautiful to watch. And all the judges like gave her 8s across the board. I think she was 3rd that week. So I think that she obviously had potential there. Well, Mike, I love him, but he is a bit of a joke, and I feel like he's kind of peaked a little bit for me now. I feel like the joke's kind of wearing a bit thin. With Catherine, I feel like it was a bit like Dev 2.0. There was more for her to give.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a real shame with Strictly this year, is that every year they say it's not about the names, it's about the journey. But I feel like those who would have had a journey, like Dev and Catherine, are being voted out.
Thing is, I think Mike could still have a journey. He is getting better. And I think what they need to do to not be in the bottom 2 for the 3rd consecutive week next week is actually to pick a song and a routine that takes him away from being the joke act. So actually we can start seeing him as a serious contender for a couple more weeks. I'm not saying he's going to win. No. I do not think he's going to make the final, but strange things have happened. But I feel like he could still have that journey. He just needs to escape that joke act sort of facade. And they work well, they're fun. Katia does really jokes, choreography with him. But they do need to be a little bit more serious now, I think, if they are to be taken seriously by viewers.
I feel like it's quite hard on Halloween week because you're going to be dressed ridiculously no matter what. I mean, their routine, it was a tango to What You're Waiting For by Gwen Stefani, and he was a rabbit. And I was just like, what am I watching?
I didn't really get that. I mean, I suppose the rabbit's always late, but I didn't really get the whole thing.
I felt like it was very much a joke I wasn't in on. Or maybe it's because I was miserable because I'm sick, but I was just kind of like, I don't find this funny. I was just sat there really po-faced on the sofa like, no.
Well, that's the thing. I think that he's been funny, but now it's time to actually give him a dance and make him look like, you know what, he's got better. He can actually do this and not be the bottom 2.
I just kind of think that if you look at who's left in Strictly now, who is the worst dancer? I know that Chris and Karen, another big favourite of mine, they were bottom of the leaderboard, but I do love them. But I don't think they are the worst dancers, because I feel like Chris, again, has something to give.
Yeah, he does.
But with Mike, I don't know. I don't know if the joke's just worn a bit thin for me. I mean, I think it'd be a shame if they left. But at the same time, I'd rather they went than Calvin and Otis. So it's kind of
Oh God, definitely.
It's trying to weigh up whether it's worth seeing them again at the moment. And I agree with you. I think they need to have a proper serious dance, like a really straight-laced dance.
I think next week will be the turning point for Mike. It will be make or break for him, depending on what dance and song that they choose.
It was a really tearful exit for Catherine as well. And I kind of felt my heart break a little bit because she was quite emotional. But Johannes was so upset.
Yeah.
And we on this podcast love Johannes. Like we have said on many occasions how much we love him.
Almost as much as Calvin's hips.
I mean, honestly, anyway, moving on from Calvin. I just think with Johannes, it's the first time I've really properly seen him. And I feel like it's such a shame we've not seen more of him before because he is fantastic. His choreography is always great. He's got so much energy. So I feel like I'm always as sorry to see him go as I am to see Catherine go, really.
Yeah. I think because that's the thing, and he's been on a journey this series as well. It's the first time. Is it the first time he's had a partner? I mean, he was part of the ensemble last year, but this is the first time he's had a celebrity partner and been part of the competition. People have been absolutely behind him. He's been so entertaining, and it is a shame to see him go. But I mean, hopefully next year he'll get sort of the Caroline Flacks of this world and could potentially make it all the way.
Because every time he's on the screen, he trends on Twitter because he's fabulous. And I really hope we do see more of him. Was it this week they had the same-sex dance?
No, it's next week.
Yeah, because I was watching for it and I was like...
So he'll be back.
Yeah, so he will be back at least.
Yeah, with Graziano.
But the same can't be said for Will Bailey. He had to bow out. And
my heart went out for him this week.
I know. And I feel like he would have been good because he was Casper. His dance was meant to be to Casper.
Yeah.
And I think that would have been quite Halloweeny and funny. He said on Twitter, "Hi everyone, absolutely gutted. I cannot be performing tonight on Strictly with Jeanette. Sadly, I'm injured and not fit to dance. I hope to be back on the dance floor next week. Good luck to everyone tonight. Thanks for all your messages, guys. I'll be back." We're yet to hear from Strictly whether he will dance again, but that injury, we were talking about it this morning, it was horrific. I don't know if anyone else has seen it, but it was on The Sun and it was him jumping with a straight leg onto the floor and you just see him collapse. I've never injured my legs, but even watching that, you can see it was bad. And like my stomach tugged at seeing it. It must have been horrendous.
I'm actually really scared that he's injured himself so badly that he might actually have to pull out. I mean, we don't know yet. Strictly haven't said anything to us, but that looked pretty bad.
It looked really, really horrific. And the fact that he didn't dance and received a bye to go through to next week, that says enough that how bad it was.
But then what has he actually broken something? What we haven't been told.
Yeah, we all got received a press release from Strictly saying he wasn't going to be dancing, but we don't know the severity of his injuries just yet.
I mean, I'm guessing he's not broken a bone because then there's no way he'd make a miraculous recovery for next Saturday.
Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of like with Jamie at the beginning of the series. We knew he was injured, but we didn't know this severity of it. So I'm hoping that he'll be back, but I keep thinking about the way he fell and actually feeling physically sick, even sicker than I actually genuinely am. So I don't really
watch another video, Will.
I just don't. So I really hope he will be back. But again, it is a bit of a tricky one because he did look ill.
It's a shame because I've sort of had him down as my little underdog.
Yeah.
I really, really want him to reach the final. He's come on so much since week one. He's clearly loving it. He's got a big fan base behind him. Him and Jeanette just work so well together. And it'll be real shame if he does have to pull out of the competition.
Because I love Jeanette as well because she's never really had a particularly amazing partner. And the best partner she had was probably Aston.
Yeah,
and
then they went really
early. So I'm hoping that they do dance again.
Yeah,
but I mean we're yet to hear from Strictly, so fingers crossed.
Yes.
But because he received a bye, he's not the first person ever in Strictly history to receive a bye. We were talking about this at the weekend. Anastasia received a bye, so did Laura Whitmore because they're both injured. But because Will got a bye, do you think someone should have gone this week anyway? Because it's kind of not everyone danced. It didn't seem particularly fair.
It's difficult when they have a bye, isn't it? Because I mean, the thing is, someone has to go just in terms of the scheduling on TV. We can't let everyone go through because then we'd need an extra week at the end of what would be the final to get someone else out. So we've got 3 left. I mean, you can't help when you get injured. So in a way, it's not his fault. So he kind of should be given a bye. And let's be honest, there was no way he was going to be in the bottom 2 anyway. So it's not as if it was like, I don't know, if Mike had got a bye. Yeah. Maybe people would have been a bit annoyed because someone better would have been at risk of being eliminated. But, you got to let Will off. He's He's injured himself pretty badly.
With Neil Jones, he also was injured this week. And it just seems to be a really kind of like haphazard Strictly this year.
Yeah,
It's
and quite a sickly one as well.
It's more the jump because everyone just seems to be keeling over this year. There was talks of a vomiting bug, which I have had. There's been talks of flu. There's been these injuries. I'm kind of worried about Strictly because we always talk about the Strictly curse. I feel like it's now a curse in the sense that everyone's just not very well.
Yeah, because we're not hearing about many romances happening. It's just everyone injuring themselves. So I think they're cursed in a different way this year.
I feel like everyone's just kind of keeling over, which is a bit worrying. But with Strictly, again, like as we said, Neil Jones bowed out and Kevin Clifton stepped in. There was some talk on this on social media. So James Jordan, who was a former dancer on the show, he said on Twitter that he thought Gorka should have stepped in. And that's something I think Gorka agreed with because he didn't say anything. There was lots of shady likes on people on Twitter saying, well, I think Gorka's stepping in. Do you think that Gorka should have had his chance on stage?
It would have been nice because obviously he's not part of the main lineup this year. He's just sort of the ensemble doing the group dances. But then again, Kevin got kicked out quite early, so I feel he didn't really get a chance to shine this series. Yeah. I mean, he has made it to most finals in the last few years. So.
He jokes about that. He was just like, I need to get to the final somehow. And it's like, awkward.
He's just slyly knocking off, like getting rid of Neil.
Push Neil over. Joking, totally didn't do that.
Yeah. Neil actually can't make it for the rest of the series. I don't know what it was down to. I don't know whether it was a matter of height, a matter of like how the whole dance would work. But I mean, props to Kevin. I know he's a dancer, but to learn that routine in 45 minutes, you know, that's quite impressive.
I mean, he kept saying he made mistakes, but I watched it and I didn't necessarily see like glaring errors.
No, so and I think the thing is, as a viewer, you're probably more focused on Alex. Yeah. Looking to see if she was making mistakes in the way she was dancing, as opposed to whether Kevin would, because you sort of assume that he's a professional dancer. He just cannot mess up.
Because I quite enjoyed their dance, actually. There was a street commercial to the Ghostbusters. Yeah. I feel like it was the most Halloween-y dance, really, of the night, because it was fun, it was a bit of camp, it was silly, and I really enjoyed it. And they didn't get particularly good scores. I mean, they got fair to middling scores, which I thought was a bit of a shame, because with everything that happened, do you think maybe even just the slightest bit of sympathy from the judges, which I don't think Alex really got?
I mean, they came third, didn't they? They got 34.
Yeah.
But I don't know. See, I like Alex, but I do feel she's still not giving it her all. I still feel she's a little bit stiff out there in the ballroom. And I don't know whether that was nerves this week, because she obviously been training with Neil this whole time, and then all of a sudden she's with Kevin and she might have been panicking. I mean, she's doing well, but I still feel like I want a bit more from her.
Yeah, I feel like we're not seeing her full potential yet, because she is still a bit stiff, as you were saying. She's still a kind of bit nervous on the dance floor. I feel like this week was one of the first times we actually saw her really embrace street commercial. Yeah. And the video that they played before she went on stage, obviously you could see how much this meant to her. And when she was welling up and talking about her mum and stuff, I feel like I want to see a bit more of that side to her, because at the moment,
the emotion coming through. Yeah.
Because at the moment it's all a bit nerves and a bit, uncertain. So I'd like to see more of that kind of emotional side. Like with Calvin, getting back on Calvin, there was a video of him a few weeks ago with his kid learning the dance.
Yeah,
and that was
and they
really
came into the
sweet.
studio.
Yeah, I kind of want to see a bit more of that, so a bit more of a personal side to Alex Scott.
Because then I think as a viewer, you then sort of have more to sort of go, you know what, I really like her or him because of X, Y, Z. If you don't, you're not seeing anything. You're just going off of those dances each week.
James Jordan obviously has been very vocal this
when isn't
week.
He?
Yes, he's been very kind of down on Strictly this year, shall we say. He described this year's Halloween as the weakest he's ever seen. And I'm sorry to say, I kind of agree with him.
Yeah, I just don't think it was that Halloween-y. I mean, apart from Michelle and Giovanni doing Addams Family, Alex and Kevin doing Ghostbusters, obviously Will would have been doing Casper, but he had to pull out. I just didn't think it was that great.
No, I mean, it wasn't scary enough. I mean, I know it's not going to be, Hammer House Horrors, but it was just kind of like, there wasn't particularly spooky songs. No. And there was like a hint of it with Saffron and AJ when they danced to Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic. It was kind of like clutching at straws a bit. There was no thriller. There was no monster mash. We were talking about this the other week. It was just like, they aren't particularly scary songs, or like songs that went into the theme, and the costumes weren't particularly scary. Like we said, like Mike Bushell was a rabbit. Yeah. So it's just all a bit, I don't know, I found it a little bit lackluster this.
And I just think some of the contestants as well, like Emma Weymouth, she danced to Charleston, and I just feel that it was so lacking for a Charleston. Like, you've got to give that your all, like that and the jive. It's got to be all in your face as well. It's the expressions. And I just thought it was a bit boring. It was a bit flat.
I thought, yeah, it was definitely quite languid because, as we were saying earlier, like, you give it your all for the Charleston, but she kind of just was like waving her arms, then going to the little bookshelf.
Yeah.
It was just all a bit like, yeah. Like, I don't know, I feel like my general impression of Strictly this week was just one big sigh because it was just a little bit lacking. Like you said, there's some years they've had some amazing Halloween dances.
Yeah.
I feel like there wasn't any particular standout this year.
No, I totally agree. Thing is, I actually think this is sort of goes out across the whole series, really. I feel it's lost its sparkle a bit this year, and I can't put my finger on it. I don't know whether there was just too many 10s near the beginning and it sort of peaked really quickly, or whether we're not really seeing enough of the contestants to really get behind them. I don't know what it is, but I'm just not enjoying it as much as I have in previous years.
No, I'm with you. It seems a little bit kind of down on itself, and I know it makes me sound awful, but I feel like Strictly is often propelled by its scandals. So with like Sean and Katja last year, everyone was like, oh my god, what are they going to dance to? Is it going to be romantic? Oh my god. This year we haven't had that. It's like, as Eleanor said earlier today, it's more of a Strictly for our times, and in fact it's quite accident prone, and nothing seems to be going quite right. There's injuries, there's sickness. It's just a little bit, I don't know, I feel like the energy's low. I
do. I feel it's just a little bit off. And I don't know whether it's just a mix of all those things we've just said. Because, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I wasn't complaining about the lineup at the beginning because, like you said as well, and you wrote the piece on how actually stop complaining about it because it's about the journeys, we get to know them. I'm still waiting for that.
I haven't seen much of a journey because, as I said at the beginning of this, like, the good dancers are established and they're consistently good. Like, Kelvin, when he walked out in week 1, yes, I'm still talking about week 1, he was amazing and he's consistently amazing and you back him because he's amazing, but then again you don't get that journey. And the ones that would have a journey, like I said, with Dev, Catherine, Alex, we're not seeing the journey enough,
or they're being voted off.
It's just kind of like, I mean, I know we're partly to blame in the sense that we need to vote for them to see that, but at the same time it's kind of just, I feel like people aren't getting behind Alex, as we said, because we're not necessarily seeing that emotional side to her, and that's a real drawback this series, I think.
But I mean, I know you were saying about Kelvin, I think maybe he peaked way too early. For the last 2 weeks, he hasn't had a 10. I mean, he got 9s again across the board, so it's not a terrible score. But did he sort of find his dance really early on, get those high scores, and actually now he's not gonna get those 10s?
I mean, Calvin has kind of established himself as very much our and the nation's thirst trap, so I think he will always do well. But at the same time, like, I didn't think he was that good this week.
No, and I didn't think he was last week.
No, I just found it was all a bit, maybe it's just me because I'm sick, but I just found it all a bit, I found that, what was it? It was a tango? Yeah, I found their tango quite stiff and wasn't particularly, because he's best when he's sensual, maybe that's just me. But those dances are his best ones, and I feel like this one was a little bit kind of lackluster. And I know he got 9s across the board, so what do I know? But I just wasn't wowed by it. Like, usually when you look back at Halloween across the years, you see some amazing dances or some dances you really remember. None of these, apart from maybe Ghostbusters, I will ever really.
Oh no! I mean, it was only on Saturday, and I've pretty much forgotten them already.
Yeah, which is
like, they're not big standout dances.
No, and I feel like when we're losing characters like Johanna's, we're not going to get more standout dances, which is just a real shame. But we won't be that negative. If you look at Michelle Visage, she was born to play Morticia.
Oh, she was amazing. It was amazing. She looked so great as well. They just looked the part because she was the only one that was like proper into, well, you had Ghostbusters, but she was proper Halloween, and she did deserve those 10s. She was perfect. And
I love Michelle and Giovanni's relationship. I think they're so much fun to watch. They obviously really get on. That little VT of them watching Alan's Family together,
so
and
cute.
Giovanni was just like, never seen it. It was just really like, it was funny, and that's the kind of thing like we can get behind Michelle because A, she's good, and B, there's something there to see.
She's got character as well. Like she's not like out there, but you quickly get to know her, and you quickly get to love her.
What do you think Strictly should do to get its sparkle back?
I really think a lot of it this year has been the song choices.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I just, the ones they're choosing, there's a lot where I don't mind the song, but then you see the dance it's paired with, and you sort of think, well, how's that going to work?
Yeah.
There's been a few, I can't remember. There was one of the last Paso Dobles, I've got the worst memory in the world. And I just remember thinking, why would you choose, I think Pokemon.
Yeah.
For the Paso Doble with Will.
Yeah.
I love Will and Jeanette, but that for me just didn't work. Like, the dance was good, but I just why are you doing the Pokemon theme to it?
It was going to be one of those things that either really, really worked, it's going to be iconic, or it was going to fall a little flat. And unfortunately, I'd say for Will, it didn't go to plan.
No,
it was a little bit flat.
They wanted it to be like Kevin and Stacey last year when they did, was it the Foxtrot to Doctor Who?
I think so,
yeah. That they did pull it off. But I mean, I think that worked as well because it's more sort of an instrumental piece. Whereas this Pokemon theme tune, I feel like maybe this year we're getting a bit gimmicky.
Yeah, definitely. Like, what was it the week before last when it was Karim? He danced to Who Let the Dogs Out?
Yeah.
And I was just like, why?
I mean, it was a great dance. He did really well, but I just think, well, there's so many other songs you could have chosen. Yeah. I mean, he's lucky because he's good. It doesn't come off too gimmicky. If it was Mike, it would just be he's definitely the joke act. He's got no chance now of not being the joke act.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think song choice has been a massive issue this year.
Because what I saw with Catherine Johannes, they got voted out after they did that dance to quite an unknown step song.
It was Steps' like comeback song.
Yeah, it was and they didn't come back with it. So that says all you need to know about the song. And I think it's a real shame because if they'd done Tragedy or like something else, that would be fun and like rememberable. Like, cause she was a bride, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Why did they do Tragedy? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like,
so what is going on here?
So it's just a little bit of a shame because I was saying this to Eleanor a few weeks ago that I think the song choice really does help. When it's a really upbeat song and you know it and you love it and the dance is fun, then you're more likely to get behind the people.
Yeah. I think as well, it's considering it was Halloween week, I think a lot of them chose songs they wanted to choose and just dressed up kind of scary.
Yeah.
I feel in past Halloween weeks, the way they've dressed and their song have gone well together. Whereas this year, I think it was, I don't really want to do a Halloween theme, but we'll just dress like that. But our song is nothing to do with Halloween or anything remotely scary or spooky. And I think it should. It's Halloween week.
Exactly. Like, what's the point of having a themed week if it's not going to
There's so many Halloween themed songs and stuff you can do. I mean, you've got like a wealth of stuff from Hocus Pocus.
Yeah.
Not that's my favourite Disney film ever for Halloween.
I just found it frustrating with Mike's dance because they could have done that any week, to be honest. Mike dresses ridiculously. He did Magic Mike, like I said. You know, he doesn't need that theme for him to be in costume. No. So, and you know, he would have been great as Casper. I know that was Will, but like he would have been funny. Like, I just feel like they haven't really thought this through properly.
No.
But there's times as well that they have really married the song choice perfectly. So, when Johannes and Catherine did Single Ladies, that was brilliant. Like, we need more of that. I know they're trying to create, like, if I'm being really cynical, I think it's more to do with like producers being like, this will be great for YouTube and get loads of clicks.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like, well, it doesn't always work in practice. Sometimes I think it's better just to kind of actually think it through. And it's not necessarily about it being watched. It's about how it will transpire on screen, if that makes sense.
And I think some of them are falling a bit flat this year.
Yeah. Who are you kind of backing for next week then? Because...
Well, Will, if he comes back.
Yeah.
I really will. I mean, Kelvin, that's just a given.
Yeah.
It's like Kelvin's #1 fan here.
Has he ever messaged you?
No, he followed me on Twitter. It just basically made my life. But no, I have not slid into his DMs and he has not slid into mine. So at the moment, we just follow one another. So obviously, I'm backing Kelvin. I want Will to come back and do really well next week. I'm really praying that his leg isn't actually going to result in him being out of action for the rest of the series. I think that would be a massive loss.
Because it's making me think, what are they going to do if that's the case? They're going to have a week where no one goes because it's just a bit...
Well, that's what I was thinking. And also, it's difficult because he injured his leg was it on Saturday?
Yeah,
that
he did rehearsals,
You know, he should be in rehearsal studios today learning the next dance. But how long is he going to take to rest this leg? Was one day enough? Is he back rehearsing today? I mean, I am quite fearful. I would you know what? I'm not a huge Anton fan.
Yeah.
But part of me actually wants him to get quite far this year.
Yeah.
Emma Barton's really good, and I think she's going to be his only hope in years of getting further than like week 2.
Because he said he actually he thinks he's in with a chance for the final, which is great because I would like to see him actually reach the final because I think the last time he did that was Series 1.
Oh yeah, he hasn't been there for ages.
A long time ago. So I'm really hoping he does actually manage to make it. And Emma... I like Emma. I think she's great. And she once told me she loved my dress. So that's why I'm like her biggest fan. But she, I find her dancing a bit languid. She's very, so like it was the tango they did this week. I found everyone saying it was really sharp. I didn't see that. It was just a little bit, for me, a bit blank. And I know that she was Queen of Hearts, I think. So maybe it's part of her role. But I just found it a little bit it wasn't sharp enough.
And considering she's an actress, you kind of want a bit more in the face.
Yeah, because we were talking about this a few weeks ago when she did the dance of the Austin Powers thing, and that she could have really gone for it, and she just kind of didn't.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that she does bring it a bit more, because I feel like now is the time to step it up. You can't really be so. I'm not saying she is blasé, but the way she comes across is a little not stiff, but it's just a bit slower and not necessarily giving her raw. So I'm really hoping that she picks it up for Anton's sake, really.
Well, it's funny with their scoring, because I think they had like the biggest disparity in points. You had Craig gave her a 5.
Yeah.
And then I think it was Bruno and Motzi gave her 8.
Yeah.
And everyone else was borderline similar scoring. So it does make you think, is Craig being too harsh, or are Bruno and Motzi just really wanting her to do well?
I don't know. I think Craig is being harsh. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about the disparity in scoring this year as it is. And I did notice that this week for Halloween, because I've been really trying to pay attention to it. And I think that Karim was hugely undermarked. I thought it was fantastic with his Stranger Things dance.
3 7s and an 8.
And
It didn't even make 30 points.
No, and I thought it was really good. Like, when I was making notes on my phone, I was like, this is the best of the night. It's great. It's really sharp and I'm really enjoying it. But it didn't quite do as well as I thought it should.
No, didn't even make top 5 this week.
Which is shocking, because he is one of the better dancers. I think as well, he had a great song. He had a really good song as well. But I think the Stranger Things theme may have let him down a little bit. Not because it's not a hugely popular show, but again, it's not necessarily scary in how you dress up for it. So he just looked like a kid in a T-shirt. So it's a bit kind of like, great. But yeah, I feel like that was huge, like hugely undermarked, which I think is a shame, because wasn't he beaten by Saffron and AJ, who I didn't particularly think was that good.
No, and that's the thing this year as well. If you've noticed, in the top 5 is fluctuating so much every week. Kelvin obviously is in there every time.
Yeah.
But like Alex Scott made top 3 this week. Saffron Barker made it. I think she was number 1 last week. She was the top.
Yeah, she was.
It's changing quite a lot, so it's still kind of all to play for.
It is, and we are getting quite late on. I mean, we've got like standouts, but even though they may be the best dancers, they're not necessarily getting the best scores.
No, I mean, like we said, Karim's down to 6th this week. He was up in top 5 last week. Yeah, and we're not that far from Blackpool.
No, we're not. And as we were saying earlier, by Blackpool, we should really know who the contenders are. So,
will Mike make it?
If he does, I really hope he does, and
I
then
do.
he goes, because I think he deserves to get to Blackpool, because I love him.
He does.
He's Blackpool energy. He's brilliant. He's fun.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping, but we'll have to wait and see what this brings this week for Strictly. Well, that's all we've got time for on this week's Strictly Between Us. A big thank you to Emma Powell for joining me as I growled my way through today's record. Be sure to subscribe to hear our dulcet tones talking all things Strictly every Monday. Thanks for joining us.